Kenyans and fellow Kenyans from the fourth estate, the media. Concerned Citizens Movement wish to state as follows. Concerned Citizens Movement is an organization which is concerned about the wrong direction our country has been taking under the current leadership in Kenya. This has caused severe social and economic strains on Kenyans, except those who thrive on plundering the wealth of the majority. The severe socio-economic strain has caused frustration and desperation in many Kenyans. We have seen this in many cases of suicide among different levels of citizens, including salaried workers whose employment proceeds are unable to give them decent livelihoods, as well as desperate Kenyans who keep calling on the government to help them, and others who relentlessly cry for help because they are denied public service for which they pay tax. Concerned Citizens Movement has keenly studied the Constitution of Kenya 2010. We arrived at the conclusion that the country will greatly benefit if we amend Cap 1 of the Constitution of Kenya to enable citizens directly recall the president, deputy president, and any other elected leader at any point of their tenure if they do not serve the citizens satisfactorily. This amendment would bring self-discipline to all elected leaders and make them focus and practice leadership of serving the people, not self and cronies, that is, servant leadership. Our main agenda at CCM is to push earnestly for the constitutional amendment and enforce good leadership and governance. We appeal to all Kenyans to support this initiative by informing others, persuading their elected leaders to support, and by providing their signatures when we call upon them. CCM applauds all the young people of Kenya, and particularly the Gen Z, for redefining in action what public participation means by stepping boldly forward to reclaim our sovereign power from our leaders. We urge the President to accept that a revolution has already taken place and that the issues that have emerged are: 1, accountability; 2, 1, accountability; 2, economic liberation; 3, governance and oversight, which are majorly leadership issues. However, since the President took office on 13th of September 2022, he has been unable to demonstrate to Kenyans his ability to make any decision that emanates from a stroke of genius. And given the crisis his own government is going through, he is unable to solve the issues he found in office and those he has created while in office. We are also aware that the President has called for dialogue, but the current atmosphere is not conducive for dialogue. The President has run a government in which no one would bet on either his word or his CSS, PSS, or security officers and any other state officer. That is why his leadership reached a point that Kenyans shouted and are still shouting, "Ruto must go." Mr. President, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda has not worked and will not work. Kenyans believe that all their problems begins and ends with you. It is the President who pushed the unpopular bottom-up economic transformation agenda. It was him whom pushed Parliament to pass the unpopular Finance Bill 2024 and was also the same who rejected it upon pressure from Kenyans. He is the one who appointed the incompetent and corrupt cabinet that he has just dismissed. It is the president who presided over misplaced priorities, spending, wastages in government, and even the latest police brutality, which now makes him and his government candidates for crimes against humanity, as several bodies have been discovered in dam sites, and still the search continues and more bodies continue to be discovered. It is now our candid submission that national dialogue cannot be productive under such circumstances. The president needs to admit that a revolution has taken place and that a revolution spares no general. Consequently, the current revolution won't end by his simple action of dissolving the cabinet or by resignation of some top officials and formation of government national unity, since Kenyans are not divided, but Kenyans are actually seeking government reforms. They are united in seeking governance reforms and economic revolution. Our recommendation is that the president realizes that he has lost legitimacy that he was given by the people of Kenya and seek fresh mandate by calling for a snap election between 60 to 90 days. We have to embrace best practices in governance, and legitimacy is key in any governance process. For the opposition, we would like to remind you that you are in this crisis mainly due to failed leadership that has especially killed the independence of our key institutions, such as Parliament, Anti-Corruption Commission, IEBC, IPOA, among other institutions. In that regard, Kenyans, especially Gen Zs, are watching as the opposition slowly deteriorates into an appendage of the executive. Finally, we appeal to all concerned Kenyans to stay the course of putting our leaders to account through lawful means. Let us work jointly to amend the Constitution so that we can truly have separation of powers and real checks and balances between the executive, legislature, and judiciary. That way, our young people will never have died in vain in the Gen Z revolution. We believe that Kenyans brutalized by the executive shall get justice, and Kenya shall stand proudly in the community of democratic nations. Hakuna madaraka bila mamlaka. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Thank you.